Şimdi programımıza Uluslararası Oturum ile devam ediyoruz. İFLA Halk Kütüphaneleri Bölümü üyelerinin katılımıyla gerçekleşecek bu oturumda, halk kütüphanelerinin dünyadaki güncel yönelimlerini, farklı ülke örneklerini ve ortak öğrenme alanlarını dinleme fırsatı bulacağız. Oturumun moderatörlüğünü gerçekleştirmek üzere İFLA Halk Kütüphaneleri Bölümü Başkanı Sayın Frances Jane Cowell'i sahneye davet ediyorum. Ardından konuşmacılarımızı tek tek sahneye davet etmek istiyorum. İFLA Halk Kütüphaneleri Bölümü üyesi, Barcelona İl Yönetimi Kütüphaneler Bölgesel Planlama Başkanı Sayın Esther Omella Claparols. İFLA Halk Kütüphaneleri Bölümü üyesi, Berlin Mitte Halk Kütüphanesi Müdür Yardımcısı Sayın Kirsten Neumann. İFLA Halk Kütüphaneleri Bölümü üyesi, Freiburg Halk Kütüphanesi Genel Müdür Yardımcısı Sayın Ulrike Krass. İFLA Halk Kütüphaneleri Bölümü üyesi, Danimarka Kütüphane Derneği Genel Müdür Yardımcısı Sayın Mikkel Christoffersen. İFLA Halk Kütüphaneleri Bölümü üyesi, Hollanda Milli Kütüphanesi Program Yöneticisi Sayın Mirjam von den Bremen.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today, and I'd like to acknowledge the support that we have received from the Ministry of Culture and Tourism for us to be here today. And, we've loved our meeting, the support for our public library meeting here at Rami. And also, we'd like to thank all of the staff from the Ministry of Culture who's worked with us, but especially Esma Bachi, who is part of our public library section and has worked tirelessly to put this festival on. So please give a round of applause for Esma. It is always a wonderful opportunity to come together in an international forum, to connect with international colleagues, to share what we're doing and to learn from each other. So please make yourself known to the Public Library Section members after our panel and say hello and share what you are doing. The public library's role in the health and well-being of communities is not well articulated in the library literature, and it's also not well understood by our organisations and those people that run public libraries. Recently, around the world, public libraries and our partners are undertaking more research into this area and building the evidence to show the value of public libraries as healing libraries. Next, I don't have a clicker. So maybe here, yeah. There we go. Technology is a wonderful thing. So in Scotland, libraries have developed a report called A Collective Force for Health. So libraries can be the go-to place in their communities for trusted health and wellbeing information. They can support digital information and health literacy skills, as well as access to health services. There's facilitated reading and storytelling for personal growth and therapeutic support, and social interaction, empathetic help and support, both face-to-face and digital. You can see the link to the Scottish report there on my slide if you're interested to read any further. So in my country, in Australia, the state of Victoria has done some planning and research work into the role of libraries in public health. So the public health impact areas for libraries in Australia are social connection. So they'll support communities to foster meaningful relationships with others and develop a sense of belonging. So this helps with loneliness. For mental well-being, so empowering communities to cope with life's up and downs, access the supports they need when they need them, and ultimately improve their psychological state. So this was, sort of really proven by the surveys that were done across the state. But also in the public libraries in Australia, there is a role for physical health. So there's quite a lot of activities within public libraries that encourage fitness. So they might host Tai Chi courses, they might host yoga, they might also do active afternoons for young children, so to get children off the digital screens and out into beautiful gardens. So some of the case studies that are there for, that happened in Victoria was a Whitehorse and Manningham libraries. They actually developed an app with the local university that encouraged the community to change their habits. The app was called Healthy Me and Healthy Planet. So there were two things that community members were asked to do. They were asked to change one thing to make a healthy planet, and they were asked to do one healthy thing that would help them be more healthy. So it might have been to walk more. It might have been to recycle that plastic bottle. So just very simple things that change the habits of people. The Deakin University partners did the research at the end of the 12-week program and found that many of the participants, 70%, actually did change their habits. So they did become healthier. They did contribute to a healthy planet. So that's libraries taking a really active role. So the other role that public libraries can play in physical health is with seniors, so with the elderly. There is a global licence called GeriFit that allows libraries to actually hold physical activities that have a coach. This is online and can actually host exercise sessions for the elderly. These are done with only 1 kilo weights and with chairs. So you do need some equipment, but these are run across Australia and have been very successful. It's a 12-week course and gets seniors out of their houses and being active. It starts them on a journey to meet new people, and also a lot of them then continue to come or actually create walking groups together, and it also helps with loneliness. So in the Melbourne City Library in Victoria, they hire social workers. So the social workers work with the library staff in skilling the staff to deal with homeless patrons, but also with patrons suffering from, sort of mental health issues and patrons that need access to services. So the social worker is there to support sometimes the patrons as they come in, to actually link them to services, but often they do more work with the library staff to build their skills to work in that area. You can see the link to the report, the health and wellbeing benefits of public libraries across Victoria, in the slide, if you'd like to see more. There's also about mental health. So when you think about people's mental health after the pandemic, a lot of people were depressed, they were not connected socially, and they were very anxious. So this is just one area of postnatal depression that public libraries work in. So they're seen as trusted health and wellbeing hubs in their communities. They can be a lifeline for people who are experiencing health difficulties. And I really liked this mother's comment about the change in her circumstances when she came to the library. I had pretty bad postnatal depression when my daughter was born. I started coming to the library on a regular basis, and honestly, it gave me such a shining, bright light in a period of darkness. I felt much less alone. There were amazing members of staff and BookBug, that's a storytelling program in Australia, for my daughter. It was a safe space. I bring my daughter now every other week, and she adores it and has such fondness for stories. So you can see that libraries have a real impact in the mental health of community members. In Victoria, we also actually did some research, and the findings I felt were really important to share. So on average, engaging with a public library makes a person feel 8% better about themselves. They feel more confident. They go out of a library lighter and, sort of happier than when they come in. What a wonderful thing to know about where you work. So congratulations on being in a public library, because you work in a wonderful place. But also single parents, parents who are raising their children on their own, and those who use their local library, say it makes them feel 18% better about their life. 18% better because they use a library and interact with other parents. So really important statistics and research that really helps libraries and helped libraries in Victoria to actually state what they're doing and to advocate for their role in health. In the United States, there's direct health interventions that public libraries do. So they create health web pages created for specific communities. So it's very much about local services and the needs for a very specific health issue. They create health collections, and it is, again, very local and based, sort of for their own communities. They teach classes on a variety of topics, including fitness, nutrition, consumer health literacy, which is gaining importance now that we have AI health apps that are telling people, sort of what they have rather than them going to a doctor. So it's important that people have health literacy, violence prevention, overdose response, diabetes self-management, mental health, substance misuse, and healthy ageing, as well as health-themed storytime classes that present a healthy message for children. And they do peer-to-peer health education. Oops. Yes. So they also help people access health insurance and access vaccines. So in America, it's quite difficult for some of these issues around health. It's quite expensive. And the telemedicine, when there's no doctor locally, they can connect and use telemedicine facilities in the library to connect with a doctor. They do health kiosks, fairs and displays, and they often put a library right next door to a healthcare service so that they can be linked. There is also a lot of urban gardening and food distribution initiatives. In America, there's food deserts where some communities don't have access to fresh fruit and vegetables, and so they create urban gardens that grow these foods. They host and support community health coalitions, and they distribute pedometers and health kits to promote physical activity. And they also continue a care referral network for the homeless. The New York Public Library has done a case study of their own work in this area. And I really found this really emotionally connecting to me as a public librarian, because what they articulate libraries' role in a healing library is that libraries create a foundation for well-being. So for community wellbeing, without a library, there's no foundation for that positive view of their community. So they feel that their spaces and resources provide the preconditions necessary for a community to flourish, for a community to grow. It provides a sense of stability, for safety, refuge and peace, and allows their community to escape and focus. And this is what their community told them. Their case study asked their users how they felt about the library. Another key impact for them was that libraries foster the core elements of well-being, and their core elements were comfort, joy, discovery, inspiration, enrichment, connection, care, support, reflection, purpose and productivity. So these are the things that their community told them happened in their library. And that's the positive psychology framework called PERMA. So libraries also promote personal development beyond well-being. So it takes people to the next step. So, and that is about growth and expansion and flourishing. And I thought that if you get a chance to download that New York Public Library case study, it is a really interesting one to read. So in the United Kingdom, it's social connection and well-being that has been researched a lot, and the role of libraries in loneliness, in really alleviating loneliness in the community. So for them, the research found that there is £913,000 of benefit that libraries do across the United Kingdom to alleviate loneliness and to help people feel connected to each other. So those who use a library feel 34% less lonely. They feel as if they belong. They feel more connected to the community. But the other component of libraries that was investigated in this report is the ability of people to volunteer in a library, that they're volunteering to participate. They feel more useful to society. They have this opportunity to volunteer. And here are the words of a woman who had cared for her husband for many years because he was very sick and he died, and she was very isolated. So these are her words. He died in the April, and I came here in May. That was 2.5 years ago. It brought me out. When I first came here, I wasn't sure if I could, because I'm not very good at speaking. I was very shy, and I was very nervous because I had stayed indoors all the time looking after my husband. But when I came, I stuck it out. And it's great now because I know everybody. Talking to people, even at home, even down my road, they all say how different I am. I feel a lot better. So again, gathering these stories of our users, of public library users, that tells us how we make them feel is really important for us to advocate to the people who fund us the roles that we do. The next resource that I'd like to share with you is also from the United Kingdom. And again, this is around social connection and well-being. And this report gathers oral history. So it gathers actual stories from people. It's a whole connection of stories around the policy intervention of libraries and wellness. So their recommendations were that public libraries' key role in supporting public health and social care provision, including mental health services, should be recognised and funded appropriately. Yay! But as Sharon let us know this morning, in the UK, that's not necessarily happening. But the more we say it, the more evidence we build, sort of the greater the case that we can make for more money. A second recommendation is that library staff should be adequately trained and supported, particularly if they are providing mental health support and other health-related advice. So again, this is something that we need to think about as a profession around what are the skills, information and support we need as library staff, as library professionals, to better do this role in health and wellbeing. And their third recommendation was that public libraries' capacity to offer reliable information, a welcoming space for discussion and action, and practical support around key public health issues should be recognised and invested in appropriately. So wonderful advocacy words that libraries can use at the local level, with some proof around the change and impact we have in community lives. Sorry, for those who are taking the photos of the slides, that's that slide. So in terms of my advice to public library associations and to public libraries, so for the first thing, for library services, it is really important that you be intentional. Put health and wellbeing initiatives into your library strategies and into your library plans. Find partners. Libraries don't have to do this alone. You know, there are many partners that we can have that can help us play this role. Listen to your community and respond at the local level to actual needs. I've shown you a lot of case studies, but is that the right program for your community? So listen to your community and act in a really local way. For library associations and areas like the ministry, we need to build the evidence base. We need to find partners to do the research, to build the evidence that we work in this space, that the health and well-being of our communities is something that happens because libraries exist, because library staff are trusted professionals, and because we connect at that local level. Create the advocacy messages and build the opportunity for the community to advocate for the library in their own words in case studies. I'd like to thank my international colleagues. I thought it'd come up, but it doesn't. Darren Smart, the Head of Library Services from Taunton, England, United Kingdom, who sent me some of those reports. Noah Lenstra, the Associate Professor at University of North Carolina at Greensboro in the United States. Sean McNamara, who's the Director of CILIP in Scotland, and Corey Greenwood, who was working on the Victorian research study in Victoria, Australia. So thank you very much. So we will have time for questions at the end of the panel, so please, if you've got questions, we will answer them. But now I'd like to introduce you to Ulrike Krass and Hannah Neumann from Germany, who will talk about what's happening in Germany for health and wellbeing and libraries. Thank you, Hannah and Ulrike. You can, it's, the clicker?
So, good afternoon, colleagues, and hello to everybody. This afternoon you got the perfect combination with Hannah and me. We both arrived with a cold in Istanbul. I have a persistent cough, and she nearly lost her voice. So let's see what surprises the next minutes will bring. Hannah, she is Deputy Director in the City Library in Berlin, City Center, and we are very happy to have her in our section because she's an expert in process and quality management. I have been working many years in libraries, and after concentrating on marketing, I'm now focusing in organization and customer services. Further, I'm also responsible as Deputy Director for the branch libraries, including a mobile library, and also responsible for section for children, music, and reference. And now, we are happy to present you some ideas and good practice from German libraries. Some of the examples show how libraries can be the place where people can meet, talk, and enjoy activities in a very easy way.
Yes, thank you, and excuse me for my voice. I will make it a little bit shorter than planned because, yes, I'm not sure if you are able to follow and if it will hold like this. So the healing library, this is not a term we have in German. So it is, we have concepts for this, and we will show you some best practice from different cities, but we don't use it nowadays in a systematical way, and I think we can take this with us home, that we think about more building up a more systematic approach to this term. So thank you for this headline. We had some other keywords we want to talk about, or we associate with the title, Healing Library. It's well-being, it is dialogue, it is belonging, and community. I think all of these are topics Jane just mentioned, and participation. So the last one, that you have to find something for your community and that you have to ask them what they want, what they need. I think it's really paramount for this discussion. So the Healing Library in Germany, so it matters a lot. We don't have the term, or we don't use it, but we have a growing challenge. Across Germany, millions of people experience loneliness, and this is regardless of their age, their background, or their social situation. In 2023, the German government published its first national strategy against loneliness. So maybe we are, as a country, at the beginning of this discussion. And libraries as the answer, of course, it's not the only answer. Libraries cannot solve every problem, but libraries are uniquely positioned as places of encounter, because we don't have fees or barriers, or you don't even have to have a membership to go to a library. And yes, we have the space where people can gather and connect, where conversations can start. And I think these examples you just showed, where you can gently overcome social isolation, and yes, making a concept like this more relevant for the people's daily life and experience. We have some strategies preventing loneliness, and the Open Society Initiative has this Open Society Day. It's on the 20th of June this year, and since 2017 they do it on a regular basis, like once a year. They put tables and chairs outside the buildings, not only libraries, of course. Other institutions are participating as well. And they want that people gather and just meet and start talking. Sometimes they offer food or drinks to everyone, and so yes, libraries can introduce themselves as venues for information, but also our other key values like free speech and open exchange, or even, yes, democratic values. And this concept of dialogue, that people from different spheres and social backgrounds can meet and just have a chat together and sit down, I think it is a way to strengthen democracy and inclusion as well. Yes, it invites all the citizens. There are no barriers at all. Everyone can come and sit, and kids can play, and yes, and it is a good way for institutions to just get in touch with their local communities. So now I hand over to Ulrike for the best examples.
Yeah, let me give you some good examples from Germany, and first is Games Time. Many public libraries in Germany offer board games for loan. Some public libraries offer Games Time, where people can come, build teams, and play games in the library. It is open for all, and it's for free. Next example is example from Regensburg, Exercise for Seniors. You see, not only the Australian people get fit in the library, the Germans too, because we all know that exercise is important to maintain health. And especially for elderly people, it increases their well-being. And it's much easier and there's more fun if you do it in a group with a health specialist. And some libraries in Germany offer this opportunity for their patrons. Reading dog. This is quite a different topic, but brilliant in different ways. Children discover the joy of reading, they improve reading skills, and lose the fear of reading aloud with a reading dog. They are looking forward to meeting the dog in the library. And it's not only in Heidelberg, it's in many libraries in Germany. And I see you have a cat here around.
It's a reading cat.
Yeah, so a reading cat is always good. But dogs and cats had been shown to have a calming effect, promote well-being, and help reduce stress. So some academic libraries organize learning breaks with a reading dog. Oh, thank you. Shall I restart? No worries. So, some academic libraries organize learning breaks with the reading dogs for students. Shared reading, quiet reading, or silent reading. Shared reading, this is open for all individuals, no registration required. Shared reading means reading together and listening to one another, bridging all cultural, social, and age boundaries. People can enjoy literature and stories. Silent reading, the shared experience of reading in silence together, is a unifying experience that people value a lot. Knitting workshop. Doing things together with the opportunity to talk and meet people with the same hobby. A perfect opportunity to experience a sense of community. Book career. This is an example of Public Library of Dresden. Dresden has volunteers. These volunteers visit elderly people at home, bringing them books and CDs just to their taste. The couriers do not only come and drop off the books like Amazon, they stay for a while for a little chat about books and life. And my last example is from Freiburg, from my library. You know, we are all living through difficult times. Many people are very worried about their future and the future of their children and grandchildren. So many libraries in Germany organize events for people to meet and engage in discussions about current social and political developments. People can participate actively. They feel a connection and understanding with one another. And now there are some examples from Berlin, so I'm handing over to Hannah.
Thank you. The first example is the therapeutic singing workshop. This is something we have very often in one of our branches, and it is really relaxing. I once had a meeting next to them, and they were in the garden, and it is a very free group of people who just met through this singing workshop, and it is nice, and I think it is true that it energizes and lifts the spirit, and that it is supporting body, mind, and soul in equal measure, and it is led by a trained person. So the woman has, I think, a degree in psychology. And the next example is Clean Connection. As you all know, Berlin is a city where many people come and go and have parties, and sometimes maybe they have some difficulty with these experiences from nightlife, with drugs and alcohol abuse. So now we set up a small group, a peer support group in one of our other libraries, and it is a non-judgmental environment. They are talking to somebody who also got training as a psychiatrist, and it is a focus that it prevents relapse and that it leads to mental stability and some help to build up some sober routines and to come to the library just for something like that. So another one is, I think, very interesting. It is led by a colleague of mine who has a special training in nonviolent communication, and he himself is a father, and he had some difficulties, and through this understanding of non-violent communication, he managed to overcome these difficulties in his family life, and now he is sharing with other men I think it is a very safe and open, respectful space for reflection, so they can speak about their experience and their challenges, being a father or maybe a grandfather or an uncle. And we have something in a lot of branches. The digital support made simple. It is the name is Digital Zebra, and there are digital guides helping people, not only elderly people, because I think there are people from every age. They have difficulties with online bookings or digital services, and you can just go there. It's free, it's personal, one-to-one, and yes, you don't need to be a member or something. We really try to have no barriers to access this helping program. So yes, what these examples show, and that is maybe our last slide, that yes, the healing, German libraries are already healing spaces, and that they lead to social connection, that they give emotional support for their communities. They can strengthen democratic dialogue. They have inclusive participation, or they've fostered. Another thing, it's intergenerational. It is not only one group, and it leads to digital inclusion. No, we have not. Another slide, and we have yes, some success factors written down, and maybe not. There are more, but yes, you need resources and tools, financial, material, and human support to bring those programs to life. You don't have to do everything on your own. Partnerships are really crucial, and you can do something with community organizations or health services or other civic groups. Yes, you should, I think, hear what your community wants, and invite them to participate in the construction or the development of such programs. And yes, of course, it takes a little while sometimes to build trust, to get to the routines, and sometimes first people are not coming on, don't see the point, but after we have very good experiences with all these programs. Yes, and some creativity and imagination. It's always good to yes, develop some new ideas and programs. So yes, thank you for your attention.
So now I'd like to welcome Esther Omella from Barcelona to discuss what is happening in Barcelona around libraries as a healing library.
Thank you very much, Jane. Good afternoon. Merhaba. It's a pleasure, a real pleasure to be here with you. I want to say a special hello to professionals in libraries and some students that I met this morning. And a special hello. I wanted to say that you have chosen one of the best professions ever, because as Sharon was saying this morning, libraries are changing our lives. So congratulations for the profession you have chosen. I will start with a question to the audience. Excuse my English. The question is, please put your hand on those who have a close friend or familiar that are explaining to you the last weeks that they would like to have better social relations, but that they have difficulties nowadays having social relations. Yes, please put your hand on. Yes, okay, thank you. I will give some figures later on. I will continue, Jane, talking about unwanted loneliness. Yes, I come from Barcelona. I will talk about a project in our library, public library network, specifically to reduce the unwanted loneliness of our population. I will be very fast. I work for the regional government. We are managing a public library network, a huge public library network that is serving, yes, the metropolitan area of Barcelona. Some of you know already Barcelona city. The library is serving the metropolitan area and also the region of Barcelona. Here you have some figures, but I will not bore you about some figures, only that public libraries are very special, as Sharon was explaining, for our regional government, and we work for an equal access of the citizens, for the to balance the lifelong opportunities and offering them access to public libraries and acknowledge. Of course, for public libraries, we are following trends and challenges based on IFLA report, and those trends and challenges are in our strategic plan and in our action plans, annual action plans. And this project that I will be explaining is one of them. First of all, let me explain you what is the unwanted loneliness. What are we talking about? The loneliness, I will continue talking about loneliness, even not all the loneliness is in a bad sense. I mean, I'm talking about the unwanted loneliness. And for loneliness, we consider a subjective feeling or lack or loss of companionship. It happens when there is a balance between the social relations that we have and those that we would like to have. When this imbalance happens, then it's a matter of the unwanted loneliness. Just to remember that one of the most important needs of people is to establish and maintain emotional bonds with other people. We seek security, we seek support, we seek attention and affection. And people who feel like they don't have these bounds, they may feel isolated. And with this negative perception, they feel that then they are not having the social relation that they would like to have. We say that it's not a disease. I mean, the unwanted loneliness is not a disease, but it's a matter of public health. It's a public health really problem that affects people of all ages. I will talk, of course, of Barcelona region. We have some dates. And first, we were considering that it was affecting elderly people, but it's not so. This loneliness is affecting people of all ages, and especially young people, as you will see. And people that are suffering from loneliness, they get affected from physical, social, and also psychological well-being. I mean, it affects all these aspects. Yes, some figures. We have some figures recently in our country, and the results are that this loneliness affects 18.4% of the adult people. 18.4, which is quite an amount, and especially it affects especially the poorest people and also those who suffer from physical or mental health disorders, especially affects these people. And listen, for young people between 18 and 34 years, it's 28.4%. So it's a higher number. And in fact, the professionals that are dealing with this loneliness, they say that it affects all the society. Because, yes, there is the need to develop strategies and contribute the reducing of this loneliness. In this context, I want to explain about a project that our libraries have developed. And first, let me do a personal approach. During the pandemic, we created a group with close friends. We were 4 friends, an editor, 2 librarians, and 1 university professional, that we thought, oh, we need to do something to help people that are suffering loneliness. And we start reading by telephone, yes, for people that were feeling isolated. And my wish was, I wish that public libraries could offer this service for people feeling alone. So we have been working a lot for public libraries to offer this service. And now I'm very proud to share with you that this project is already offered by libraries. We call it Friendly Voices. Yes, you understand, Voces Amigas, and it's an oral reading project for people feeling isolated. Here you can see the objectives. We want to promote the creation of a read aloud service aimed for the well-being of people experience, that they are experiencing loneliness or other condition within a framework of volunteers working in public libraries. Yes, here you can see the objective. I will explain you about the audience, the objective, and how we manage this project. We want to accompany people experience feeling of loneliness to enrich their time. Also people that are in hospitals and that they cannot reach the public library. My deputy, some of you know him already. My deputy, he says that the access to public library must be not only physical, but also during all your long life being. I mean, experience different situations that some persons are in hospital or in prisons, and that we need to plan and to make public library accessible, not only from the physical point of view, but also, we call it momento vital in Spanish. It means in all moments of your life, you need to have a public library close. And the best point of this project is that it's managed by a network of volunteers from public libraries that they were already conducting reading clubs. So we train them, and they are the conductors and volunteers approaching, the oral traditions and reading to people that cannot reach our public library system. Yeah, those are the objectives. Here you can see the working model. Sorry that it's written in my language, in Catalan, but I would like to explain you that, of course, the public library is in the middle, and the public library search cooperation and collaboration with health institutions like hospitals or different kind of institutions. And also the public library is searching the network of volunteers that are approaching readings to all those people that are not able to come. Yes, here you have some figures. I'm very proud to share with you that we have already 61 volunteers. We have volunteers in waiting list. It means that they are willing to collaborate. And we have already 60 listeners. I mean, it's a project that it's recently started. So for us, the results are very good. And yeah, from our region, Barcelona region, there are 11 municipalities already participating in the project, and also a very huge university hospital, Bellvitge, that is very much involved in the project. Here, just a view of the profile of we call them listening participants because they, as users, they get a telephone call and we read by telephone, so they are listening participants. Here you can see the profile. The majority, they are older women. In fact, in our country, the women are the most, using public libraries in a higher average. And as you can see, we have users of different ages, from 31 to 99. And it's not a matter of the age, it's a matter of in which situation they are feeling. But the average age is close to 85. And sometimes we have the surprise that those people that are listening participants, they also are willing to share reading experience. So we have an experience both sides. Yes, and here you have some figures. I have prepared for you the QR in order that you can have more information about the project. I invite you to consult the project because here we share materials with volunteers. We share examples of readings, material, protocol, and all the learning from this project. We share it in an open space. And just to finish, let me underline the two main things that we have learned from the project. One is the importance of establishing an alliance between the library and other health and well-being institutions. My colleagues that have spoken before me, they also have the same idea, the importance of the public library having good relations with those institutions. It reinforces the local community support network. And the other idea is that it's very important to generate a network of committed reader volunteers linked to every public library. And, the last one was thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
And now I'd like to introduce Mirjam from the Netherlands.
Now you hear me.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to tell you something about the Dutch Public Library Network. Before I tell you something more about the theory or the concept of positive health and give you some examples of what we're doing in Dutch public libraries, The reason I tell you first something about the network, it provides information, well, it says a lot about how we work, but also what we want to achieve, what our role is, and how we don't work as a library alone, but work as a library in a society with other institutions, and that's very important if you want to contribute to well-being of your citizens. So we are 131 public library organizations. We have 342 municipalities in the Netherlands, and if you can count, and you all can, it works differently in the Netherlands. We have libraries that work for one municipality. We have libraries that work for multiple municipalities. We have combined organizations, that is one organization having a library function, but also culture, social work, education, or other functions. And we work in shared locations a lot. So not only a library, but also cultural functions, social work functions, education, civil affairs even. And even some library locations are combined with swimming pools, gardens, so it's a different mix. What they all have in common, they're close to the people that live in the Netherlands. And to give you an idea, yesterday I heard there were 18 million inhabitants in Istanbul. The Netherlands as a total also has 18 million inhabitants, so that's the scale. So we have over 1,000 branches. We have 8 provisional support institutions that help the libraries do their work. And we have 1 national library, and that's where I work. In 2024, there were 59 million library visits in all the public libraries in the Netherlands, and all these libraries organized almost 400,000 activities. Since 2015, and it's being reversed now, so hopefully in 2027 we have an even better Library Act. It says what the library is about: personal development, enhancing communities, and improving societal opportunities. We've all been talking about that. It defines the functions of our values that we work with, so independence, reliability, accessibility, pluralism, and authenticity. So it gives us a frame how we do our work as a public library. And it also defines the 5 pillars that we do, making knowledge and information available and accessible, providing opportunities for development and education, reading promotion, a platform for meeting and dialogue, and introduction to culture and arts. That's what the public library in the Netherlands is about. What we also have is a covenant, because as a public library, we are depending on funding from our local communities, the regional governing organizations, and the government in the Netherlands. So, because what we do is, when we are working, is not about the money, but we need the money to do our work, and is this covenant, and it's very important for us. Because in here, we made an agreement with the government on the municipality, regional and national level as a library network. So also in the municipalities, regional and national, that we focus as a library sector, library network, on 3 societal challenges. And that's the literate society, so be literate, participation in the information society, and lifelong learning. And that's our strategic compass. That is what leads us in how we contribute to those really big challenges in our society. How do we do that? We do that by building communities, working with our community, working for our communities. We do that by building strategic ecosystems, and that is, I don't know if you know it, but there's this famous line, it needs a village to raise a child. So if you have big societal challenges, you can't do it all by yourself as a library, you need other institutions. So those strategic ecosystems, that's what we do, that's what my work is all about, connecting to other institutions, other functions in our societies to do it together, each from their own role, their own function. Choosing the role that fits the situation, because we can be a lot. We can be a place where people can go, we can be a connector, we can be developers, we can be a signpost, saying people where to go if they want to have more information, and we can be an expert. And to us, network is key. So everyone contributes with the same focus, locally, regionally, and nationally. And how we work as a network? Well, the societal challenge is the precedence. So that's what we're about. That's where our focus is on. The challenge transcends what any of us can do. So if you're a big library, you can do more or do other things than if you're a small library in a village or in a neighborhood, in a larger town. And you do what you can do, what fits to who you are as a library and what the people you serve as a library focus on and need. The challenge calls the shots, not the party. So it's always about what we want to do as a library network. Each contributes according to ability, and we don't work alone, never. We always do it together, together as libraries or together as libraries with other institutions. Does it go? Yes. So now I'd like to focus on positive health in libraries. The concept of positive health is developed by Machteld Huber, and that focuses not on illness, but on resilience. And this broader approach contributes to people's ability to deal with physical, emotional, and social challenges in life, and to be in charge of their own affairs whenever possible. And if you heard me saying the things before this, you hear that it fits. And a lot of municipalities use this as a compass to make their policies locally, and it fits with public libraries too. So we use it as a tool. We didn't think of it ourselves, but it helps us do our work, but also connecting to others and decide what we want to do. The concept has 6 pillars. It's about your body. It's about mental well-being. We've been talking about that a lot. It's about meaningfulness, quality of life, participation, and daily functioning. And if you take that concept as a compass, there's so many things a library can do. Well, on the societal agenda, we said it before. Aging population, obesity, rising healthcare needs, increasing personal responsibility, especially in the Netherlands, and e-health. So what do we do? As I've got a few examples for you. We have in a lot of libraries the Dementia Library. It's an information point with a collection and where people can find information. There's also materials other people can work with, but it's also a meeting point, and there's always the library organizes activities. We have courses and walk-in sessions about e-health, and then we work together with general practitioners or the hospitals. And as a Dutch network, we have nationally an online library where e-books and audiobooks are in, but also courses people can follow. So one of a few of the programs that libraries can use there, and it learns you the basic skills to work with e-health. We also have programs about healthy lifestyle and basic skills. This one, particular one, combines getting a better lifestyle with you need to calculate. If you make a recipe or if you want to take a bus to go for a walk, you need to read when the bus is leaving, you have to read the recipe. If you buy healthy food in your supermarket, you have to read the ingredients. So it's about lifestyle, but it's also about learning the basic skills you need to survive in our in day-to-day life. Another example is there a doctor in the house? It's a talk show series. One of the larger libraries in the north organizes it, and it's in collaboration with the local hospital. And it's like a theater program, but it's not a singer or another artist performing. It's a doctor, and he's explaining something about an illness like dementia or obesitas. And you can ask him questions, or her. So it's another way to get the doctor closer and more accessible for people in the community. And another pilot starting real soon is book supports, books and reading for a better mental well-being. And the idea is that there's going to be an editorial team of literature experts, healthcare professionals and experience experts that are going to make a book support collection, and the books they choose help you to feel better. So that's one of the pilots starting recently. And I could go on for hours telling you about what we do, but this is the end of my presentation. Oh, I forgot one. Because we were telling about what's happening in the library and other places, but you also have to be where the people are. So you'll find a lot of libraries and librarians or volunteers at the hospitals to help and support the people that go there if they need get access to digital care. Yes, that's a very important one. So questions we do later. And I also made some links. You can, the presentations are online, I understood, so you can find more information. Some is in Dutch, but I hope it helps you go further. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll be brief. It's getting late in the afternoon and you've been very polite and very patient. The cat, not so much. It left 30 minutes ago, decided not to listen to anything more about libraries. I was actually invited to Istanbul in 2015 as well to talk about digital books and digital lending. And enjoyed the world-famous Turkish hospitality. And once again, you've been wonderful. I know I look 20 years older. It is from 2015, but it's very stressful to be from Denmark these days. There's a large country keeps threatening us with invasion, so we age very quickly at the moment. A quick update from Denmark is that we recently had our national elections, and we managed to almost elect 50% women for our parliament. We are over 45% now. I hope we can push it over 50%. This has been great. What has not been so great is that libraries and culture in general has not really been part of the election campaigns, and they never are. As the Library Association, we push a lot of election debates in our libraries, and it's our experience that people really want to talk about culture. They have a very close connection to the culture of their community, but they don't consider it as a topic for elections. So I think our newspapers and our media are always pushing pensions and unemployment, schools, old people, security, but never actually culture, which is what really means something to people day by day. We've seen some really troubling development in our libraries where not the library director himself or herself, but the library administration, the municipal administration has been declining to have political debates in the library. We think it's because we've had some new right-wing populist parties that are really controversial, and so it's easier to just say, no, we won't have political debates in our public libraries, which is an awful, awful, horrible, very bad decision. So we've been fighting this successfully so far, but we'll see how it goes. Then we have been working very hard to establish libraries as infrastructure for democracy. Wow. I don't think I did that. Anyway, so we've made a joint Nordic declaration in context of the IFLA World Conference last year about libraries as infrastructure for democracy. There's a new report out with an English summary about how libraries promote well-being and are actually infrastructure for well-being and the thriving of citizens. And lastly, we've had a report on our younger generation's information competency, their skills at searching for information, finding information, evaluating information for truth and sources, where does this come from? And our young people have a very high estimation of themselves. They have very high self-worth when it comes to searching for information and analyzing where it comes from. And it turns out they have absolutely no reason to be so optimistic because they are exceptionally bad at searching for information and figuring out where it comes from because they just, in many cases, just use these artificial intelligence summaries. So we have a really, really big problem on our hands. Libraries do as well, a big challenge in getting back to what we might call source criticism, information evaluation. And the paradox of information searching is that you always find something and then you think, oh, this is going great, but you don't know what you don't find. But this is a much larger discussion. We'll have to have this at another time. And then because in 2015 I was asked to talk about e-lending, I'll just tell you how it's going. You can find the black line is our aggregate digital loans. And you can find 2015 when I was last here and seen that it's going pretty good. We have now 1.67 loans per citizen, so that would be 144 million digital loans if we were Turkey. Denmark can be in Istanbul 3 times. But we are experiencing in Denmark rising attendance, rising physical loans, and rising digital loans. So everything is going great. The only thing that's not rising are library budgets. They are going slightly down. Good. So I've put in some links. All these reports have English translations or summaries. I think this will be handed out or be available somewhere. So I'm not going to read the links out. Okay, so to the so-called European OMC process, which has a very easy name, Open Method of Coordination, Group of Member States, expert on building bridges, strengthening the multiple roles of libraries, the gateways and transmitters of cultural work skills and European values. It sort of rolls off the tongue. I'm not, it's getting too late for me to explain what an OMC process is, because it's very, very European Union and therefore very, very bureaucratic and technical, and people just sort of die when you start trying to explain it. But what I will say is that every 4 years, the Council of the European Union, which is you never hear about this, but it's actually in many ways more powerful than the Commission and the European Parliament, they decide on a work plan for culture. And in the last work plan for culture, libraries were mentioned explicitly for the very first time, which was a lobbying success of, among others, IFLA, the European Bureau of Library Associations, whose director you will hear from tomorrow. And then there was this, on top of this, there was this OMC process, which just means that every country in the EU can send 2 people, and there has to be a lot of work and a report and a conference and all sorts of things. And this is that. What's interesting here is that non-European, non-EU countries, but European countries, non-EU countries were also invited. So we had Norway and Turkey. Yay! And we'd really like to thank Turkey for their wonderful contribution. It would not have been the same without you. I'm not going to slaughter your name with my Scandinavian tongue, but so I'll just point. This one. But you will see from here that the point of this OMC process and the eventual report is not that libraries lend out books and they're great at working for literacy. It's that all the other roles that libraries play, all the other roles that they can play, and gathering together all the best practices from European countries. As it says here, unlocking the multiple roles of public libraries by enabling libraries to grow from a fundamental role, i.e. the book lending, to their full potential. Because libraries have transformed over the last decades, right? Which has, as we say here in this, gone mostly unnoticed by policymakers. And as Sharon Memmes said earlier today, we're all library people. We all love libraries, and we can pat each other on the back all day long, telling each other how wonderful libraries are. It does not matter until we get the ear of somebody with actual funding power and actual policy power. So what's special about this is, because all the points I'm going to make now very briefly, we have all heard several times before today already. But the important thing about this is this is made by European Union representatives from the individual countries. So this is not librarians talking to other librarians, and I know we have to do that, and I enjoy it immensely, but this is an actual report made by cultural ministries, from representatives from cultural ministries and agencies and so on and so forth. Right, so what has gone unnoticed by policymakers? You probably sometimes, I think you have much better cultural politicians than we do. They seem to be much more aware of libraries. And they seem to be smarter, and they seem to be investing in libraries. Not so much in Denmark, I'm sorry to say. We always, when we have these library summits, they come in and then they've heard that they have to start with a personal story to connect with the audience. So I remember my public library when I was 8 years old, and there had a lot of books. It was wonderful. Well, they've evolved over the last 40 years, and you get to decide library budgets, and you don't know what a library does today. This is awful. Because libraries is where we say, like we say here, where kids come and play and they read. It's communities coming together. Where else would they gather? Right? It's social cohesion. It's a meeting of generations. It's people coming together to enjoy their hobby, or just interact with literature in a non-school, non-educational way. It's learning. The report I mentioned we did in Denmark about how libraries support well-being and thriving said that 95% of people believe that the public library is the best place to do your own thing. Just have your hobby or whatever you're interested in, and being able to work with it and talk to other people about it without anybody looking over your shoulder and without joining any association or organization. That is so important. There are open invitational spaces. This is where people, sometimes from anything from heat waves to actual war, can find shelter. We had our Ukrainian colleagues were visiting Denmark a couple of months ago, and there are stories about how they have to build libraries underground. They're building theaters underground because the Russian invaders are trying to destroy Ukrainian culture. So they make it possible by building libraries and theaters and museums underground. And of course, and like we saw, your book buzz is outside. Sometimes the library comes. If you don't want to come to the library will come to you. So we have over 67,000 public libraries in Europe. They're staffed by over 170,000 people. We have over 800 million visits and over 75 million registered users. Oh, it's getting late. Registered users. So this would make it, library users, if it was a country, it would almost be the size of Turkey, inhabitant-wise, right? There's about 78 million people. If you count the unregistered users who just use the library, we go way over that. So if library users was a European country, it would be the largest country in Europe. And in this work, we will end up publishing 80 best practices, but in the work itself, we collected over 300 best practices from all over Europe. So the common ground, what we all sort of decided on, is that libraries are trusted and the most widely used public institution. They function as community hubs addressing 10 societal challenges with an integrated approach. I'll get to the 10 challenges. They reflect and respond to the needs of their local community and form part of a vital social infrastructure, like I said. But they cannot fully deliver what they do because they have uneven resources. For instance, our colleagues in Romania are often not even salaried. They don't even get a salary for working in the library. It's horrible. We have inconsistent policy frameworks in Europe and very inconsistent funding. We also tried to gather data on the public libraries and turned out that every European country does it a little bit differently, so we can't actually compare anything across the countries. So in the final report, there will be country overviews, like what are the current library strategy in that country, where is the legislation headed. Here we have Finland for their strategy and Belgium for, we usually only work with the Dutch-speaking part of Belgium. I don't know if you know this, but Belgium is actually two countries cleverly disguised as one country because it's Flanders and it's Wallonia, and we usually in library sector, we usually work with the Dutch-speaking part, which is Flanders. Here are the 10 aspects of public libraries that the best practices will be divided into, and the resulting advice will be divided into. I'm not going to read them to you because that's not going to be very inspiring, but do take 5 seconds to read them. 3, 2, 1. Then this matrix from where do you want to go? This is the advice part. Where are you going to go? Do you want basic service? You want intermediate service, or do you want the advanced service level for these 10 aspects? And this is all delineated here along these aspects. It's described what a basic service looks like, what an intermediate service looks like, and what an advanced service would look like. It's all going to be in the report. These 10 aspects were usually in the work. It was done by 4 metaphors: the library as laboratory, as marketplace, as sanctuary, and as a hub. And you can see here this artist has tried to draw a library. So you can see these 4 different metaphors are at work at the same time in different places in the library. It's not one thing, it's many things going on all around the library. This also means that we need sort of to develop the people working in them. Then we get to the key OMC recommendations, where one of them, which is always the recommendation, we need to do this again. We need to have another OMC process. We need to work further, and we cannot just have a report, put it in a drawer, and then we will all forget about it and go do our own thing. So it comes with OMC, it comes with the recommendations, and it comes with a strategy for libraries. These 6 things that we really encourage libraries to work on. The final draft is very new, as you can see. It's actually from March 2025, so last month it was finished. It won't be published until a year later because the EU does nothing quickly. So it's going to take a year to publish it. Sometimes the European Union finds it easier to give a couple of billions to agriculture than to publish a report or record a webinar. The small things can be tricky. Then we'll have a conference in Dublin in Ireland when it's published for policymakers. And then we will all have to implement this report. And I think in the OMC group, we are very, very keen on the most important thing being that we implement and we promote this report and we talk about it in order to prevent this from just being put on a shelf and then work done and then we all go our separate ways. This report needs to live on after the work is done. I'll just end here. So these are my contact details. Thank you.
Thank you, and we're almost out of time, but we could probably take one or two questions if anyone has a question of the panellists. If not, or are you too shy to speak in front of such a big audience, make sure you come up and say hello to us. Esmo will be with us to help translate if English is not something you can manage, but please come up and say hello.
Kıymetli moderatörümüze ve değerli konuşmacılarımıza teşekkür ediyoruz.